So,
Nice.
right. So are we on YouTube and all of that? All right. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the July 16th, 2025 Franklin Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order at 7 p.m. In attendance for myself, Chairman David Gerstenhaber, Vice Chair Donna D., and Supervisors Jim Johnson and Betsy Odgers. Also in attendance are Township Solicitor Melissa Reinstatter, Township Operations Manager Jeff Eastburn, Township Controller and Office Manager Melissa Ortega, and Township Secretary Stacy Hollis. And there are 6 members of the public. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. So now I'd like to open the meeting to public comment. This comment section may include any comments relating to tonight's agenda items. Commenters must state their name, whether they are a resident of the township or a non-resident taxpayer of the township. If you do not identify yourself, your comments will not be included in the official minutes. Do we have any public comment? All right, not hearing any, we'll move on to approval of minutes. Donna.
Okay, great. So I make a motion that the board approve the June 18th, 2025 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes. Do I have a second for that? Thanks, Betsy. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Melissa Ortega is here to give the treasurer's report. Oh, sorry.
Lieutenant to talk first.
Yeah, why don't we do that? So we have something that was not on the agenda. I think this there was an incident yesterday. Maybe we can.
Hey, Dave, if you don't mind, because this wasn't an item that was on the agenda, we can't add something to the agenda now. So Lieutenant, if you don't mind, we'll just have that during public comment. That just saves us a procedural issue. And I think that's for the best.
Okay, so have this be part of our public comment?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Lieutenant, you can go first during public comment and as much as you need.
Perfect. Do we want to wait until the end? Is that what we're saying? Or do it now?
If it's not on the agenda and this was just for agenda items, we'll wait till the end.
Yeah, perfect. That's fine with me. All right, let's move on to business reports.
The June 2025 Treasurer's Report includes the following disbursements. The general fund with disbursements and transfers of $161,380.91. The Park and Rec Fund with disbursements of $12,768.90. The Open Space Fund with disbursements of $5,079.90. The Capital Reserve Fund with disbursements of $0. The Emergency Services Fund with disbursements of $84,702.03. The Fire Hydrant Fund with disbursements of $580.80. And the Wastewater Treatment Plant Fund with disbursements of $0, leaving a balance in all funds totaling $3,612,042.57.
Okay, I'll make a motion that the board approve the June 2025 treasurer's report as presented by Melissa Ortega. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Dave. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carries 4-0.
All right, Betsy.
Next is the zoning officer's report. This report was compiled by the zoning officer, Mark Gordon. In the month of June 2025, there were 11 permits issued for $14,390.45 in permit fees, $0 in miscellaneous fees, $0 in recreations and open space fees, $0 in impact fees were collected, and 32 inspections were performed.
Thank you very much. Sure.
All right, so just want to introduce Melissa for the solicitor's report.
Sure, thank you. Just a quick update. There was information in your packets tonight about House Bill 209. House Bill 209 was approved by the governor on June 27th. It updates the second-class township code. It is a very minor update, but just for your knowledge, unless it is explicitly stated in the ordinance itself, ordinances will be effective immediately. Previously, it was 5 days after the ordinances were passed. Now it will be effective immediately. That doesn't necessarily affect this township too much. We usually write that into the ordinances themselves, but just to keep in mind. That's it for the solicitor's report.
Thank you. The quick question on that. So why the 5 days? Was that something to get, in times when there wasn't immediate communication,
So we do have a little bit of procedural things that we do once it
Okay.
becomes effective, such as getting into the Chester County Library,
Okay.
law library. So it could have been something related to that, having staff members be able to walk it down to the library or drive it down.
Makes
But
sense.
now it's all electronic, so easy enough.
Gotcha. All right.
So Jeff, did you want to take this opportunity just to update us on Mount Olivet Road? I thought we were going to do another solicitor's report.
It's up to the chair and vice chair. What would you like me to do?
We could either do that or in the Park and Rec's open space as well, since it's Park and Rec. So, because I don't think they have a report tonight, so we might as well use that time to talk about the work on Banffshire, Mount Olivet,
Sure.
and whatever else. So in general, the storm damage we dealt with in the last few weeks. So that'd be a good place to put it. Okay. All right, so we move on to commissions, committees, and reports. Betsy?
All right. First, we have a presentation by Dale Hendricks. I think he's online. About native seed planting project.
Yeah. Hey, Dale, are you online?
Yes, I am.
All right, and we can hear you.
Oh, good. Yeah, I just unmuted myself. I think on screen I'm known as Carol Curtis, my wonderful wife who's provided the laptop. Give me a second to try to maximize you guys so I can see you. Hello. Yeah. I don't know how many of you people know me, but been here in the township since '88 when we formed a little nursery called North Creek Nurseries at the top of North Creek Road. So been living here opposite the winery, as they say, on Flint Hill Road since '96. So I'm this massive gardener plant guy, right? So the real reason I'm here is I like doing the work at Banffshire Preserve, and I do similar things at my house. I remove the invasive plants and try to make the landscape nicer. So I opened my big mouth to a few people and said, well, geez, there's more to life than ripping out the bad guys. Why don't we scatter some seeds of the native bluebells and the native edible ramps and other cool plants? I've been doing that at home. So I invited some people out, and a small handful came this past spring to show what we could do with no money, just knowing plants, collecting seeds, scattering it around. So Dawn in particular, but others really loved the idea and said, well, you should at least talk to the Board of Supervisors about it. And of course, I thought, oh, geez, I don't have a plan. I don't really have a proposal. I just have some cool activity that even has been quietly going on without your blessings. I hate to, confess as a massive outlaw, but I have given little bits of these seeds to some buddies that have scattered it around the park off Parsons.
Yeah.
So that committee's going ahead with this, and I think what we mostly want to do is get you guys the idea of what we're up to and the scope of it, right? I'm not scattering 500 different kinds of seeds. I'm scattering 2 so far. Those are all regionally native seeds. And then it's not just me, but a small handful of other folks. So maybe what we could do is get your blessings, whether they're written or not, to have a small gang working with the Parks and Open Space Committee that would have your even unofficial blessings to scatter up to 1, 2, 3 types of pre-approved seeds with 1, 2, 3, 10, whatever pre-approved people working with that committee. Right. So again, it's a very informal thing. I'm a little embarrassed. I have 2 zip drives and I still can't find my little six slide show to show you some of these lovely plants, which a fair amount of you would know anyway. So that's where we sit. I try to be cogent and not bend your ear forever. You want to start with questions or?
Yes, sure. So, I was one of those people who talked to you out at one of the Friends of the Healing Garden events that we had, and I think it's a great idea. At the very least, we're dealing with invasive species, right? And if you walk through, say, Crossan Park, that's all you see, right? The multiflora bushes are everywhere, and this is low impact. It's beneficial. It doesn't cost anything. And we're controlling invasives. At the very least, we're controlling invasives. So I like the idea. I like that you proactively said, hey, I'm going to work with the pro here. We're going to have a group of people that are, pre-approved to work. And what I think about when I say pre-approved, I don't think we're not going to collect resumes. It's just like, oh, that's like, there's some guy in the park throwing stuff around. Oh, that's Dale. He's planting seeds. We know who he is. Don't worry about Dale. That's kind of that's where my head is at, is, it's, we know who you are and what you're doing is usually where I want to land. So.
Well, thanks. And in a related way, I could happily share at least 2 other names, and Dawn might know one guy's last name. And I think they were in our township. Is Old Post Road in our township?
No, it's Noah.
Noah? Is it Noah?
Yeah, the famous Shy Noah, whose last
Yeah,
name I
yeah.
forget, and Ian Palkowitz lived right on the creek off that Old Post. And
Yeah.
they're my occasional co-conspirators. So that's really all I'm aware of that we have in this tiny little group. But what you could maybe say is we trust the Parks and Open Space Committee to work with our buddies, headed up by me if you want. And again, there isn't much activity here, right? The bluebells bloom in April. If you can picture them, they're called Mertensia, M-E-R-T, Virginia bluebells. But by the 1st of May, the seed's ready. So by mid-May, I had scattered all the seeds I'm going to scatter this year, and we gave some, and more went back to that Crossan Park. A handful went along the creek at Banffshire. So all you'll see is that, okay, great, we're getting rid of some quote-unquote bad guys, and in that open space room, we're adding seeds of plants we wish to have.
Yeah.
So the bluebell would be the most visible by a long shot, and then there's the other one is called ramps, which is a native onion cousin, which is, again, what's interesting, ever so briefly, is a lot of these wildflowers used to be here and want to be here again. It turns out that the early colonists almost all had immense amount of pigs, and they let them loose in the woods, and they eat up all the bulb-like good wildflowers. So that's why you see them in isolated places like Shanks Ferry out in Lancaster by the river and places like that, because so many places were either farmed or grazed. And so the seed bank is bare of these plants. So both the plants we talk about, they have seeds that don't blow around in the wind. They have to be planted there or within 10 feet. They don't travel far, if you will. Anyway, we're getting into the weeds, so to speak. So I'll be quiet again.
No pun intended.
So Dale, can you give us a sense, or either tonight at this meeting or maybe draw on a map, where exactly you're going to be planting these seeds? Is it going to be, it's going to be in the, where all the trees are, or I mean, I just, a sense, what's your vision in terms of where you're going to distribute the seeds?
Sure. And all this is definitely better covered. Either come to my place next April, maybe I have another invite the township event then when these things are happening. But the bluebells love to grow by the edges of the creeks. And that's where they're most famous. Around here, they're called brandywine bluebells. So if you go along the Brandywine from Chadds Ford to Westchester, there's miles of them along the creek, but they only bloom for about 2 weeks. So average to bright openings and edges along the creek is where the bluebells, and also the other one, the ramps, ramps, as if, you're driving somewhere, a ramp. Ramps are also of the same habitat. I call it average to good, average to moist, deciduous shade, meaning not under pine trees, not under spruce trees, the type of shade that is sunny in the early spring before the leaves come out. So that's this habitat. And more specifically, like I said, for the next 10 months, that's where the bluebells will be. They'll be from the bridge at Banffshire, where the trails start, about 200 yards upstream along that creek. And it won't be till 3 years, 4 years till you even see any color, right? So this all takes time. And again, I felt a little like, why bother the supervisors with this, to be frank? But I'm happy you're all interested and that no one's gonna arrest me or anything.
Hey, Dale, I'll say it's always good to tell us what's going on and to protect you and the township. I think it's always good to, if somebody approaches you, just tell them to talk to Jeff Eastburn. And maybe even when you're doing it, just let Jeff, you're going to be out this week or next week or whatever. That's all, just a notification. So we know, so Jeff knows at least what's going on in case he gets a call here that somebody's spreading things around. That's all.
Excellent. Yeah, and I've got a good open communication with Jeff, and that's all great. And like I said, there won't be much activity. The next one is the ramp where onion family seeds are ready when the pawpaws are ready. If you guys don't know about pawpaws, you haven't lived. So the whole month of September is pawpaw time, and I showed up at other township events with pawpaws for people, and maybe during that time there'll be a time to meet up. But anyway, maybe I've taken enough time.
Yep. Thanks, Dale, for your thoughtfulness and volunteerism. And I'd like the pawpaws. I probably tried 4 or 5 year varieties so far.
I haven't lived, unfortunately.
Well, there's hope.
So now I got a mission. So, but yeah, thank you, Dale. I appreciate it. This is great. This is the kind of volunteerism we love. So thank you.
All righty. I'll let you go.
All right. Thanks. Enjoy your night.
You too.
Paul Lagasse is here for the Historical Commission and Historical Architectural Review Board report.
Good evening. So I don't have a whole lot to add to what was in your packet. Nan Latimer has been out there working on the Churchill Cemetery, and I gather we're kind of near to getting most of the shrub stuff cut down. That's only a start, unfortunately. It's going to be, we're going to go back in and we're going to let the shrubs sprout, and then when they're compact, spray them, and then go back in and cut them late in the fall to the ground, and then treat the stump. The idea being that in the fall is when the invasives are going to really suck that poison into their roots. It's very confined, and with luck, we at least won't see those again. It will probably be an ongoing kind of process. And then in the fall too, we'll have to weed whack the Japanese stiltgrass down, which is something I'm familiar with because I've had to handle it on my own property. And the fall is the time to do it right before it goes to seed, and then it doesn't have time to grow and enough to set seed. So it's pretty much confined to one area, I believe, on the property. So I'm hoping that is just an hour and it'll be done, but we'll see what happens. We've been back in contact with the trustee of Mount Olivet, and we may be doing cleanup there this fall. I have to get down there and take a look at it and get a better understanding of the extent of it. But the last time I was down there, which was maybe 2 years ago, it didn't strike me as nearly as bad as Churchill. And I'm hoping that we can eventually get both of these cemeteries onto a kind of maintenance schedule with volunteers. And in the case of Churchill, also working with Galilee UAME in Avondale. And they're very interested in getting involved. We just probably won't get any activity set up with them until the fall. And finally, as you know, tomorrow night here, there's going to be a public meeting about the Mason-Dixon Art Corner Heritage Interpretation and Connectivity Project. And Brandywine Conservancy will be hosting it. They're the ones who've been basically managing the plan with advice from the townships. And it will be both in person here and available online. And I'm hoping for a little better turnout than we had the first time around, when we had about 12 people who weren't already involved in the project. And if you have a chance, it would probably be good to tune in, but you probably already know more about the project that's going to be discussed than is going to be discussed tomorrow night. Because I think a lot of the people who will be, participating haven't really had a chance to get in depth into the project, whereas you've seen a lot more details, at least with respect to Franklin.
Paul, we had that meeting with you, as you said, you went through the project with us, and we gave you some comments. Have they been incorporated? Did the group accept them? Or are you going to come back and talk to us again?
No. So I can't actually answer that in the absolute affirmative because I haven't gotten back the revised plan, but there was no objection to the comments. Okay, so this is why I hesitated. My assumption is yes, but it's always possible that there's some little tweak that still needs to be done. But until that, until you see the revisions, but the revisions were very specific, and assuming that they've been made exactly as requested, there should be no issues whatsoever. So, I mean, the answer is yes, but anything else?
Hey, Paul, did we get a chance to get the chipper over there to Churchill?
Okay, so I'm going to be working with Yardworks. Yardworks
Okay.
is going to actually volunteer chipper, and there'll be workers volunteering to do the chipping. It will not be until August at the earliest, because what we're trying to do, especially under these circumstances where we've basically going to have, if we're lucky, one full day to get it handled, is to have everything ready.
Yeah.
So that all the shrub cutting is done, and then as soon as it can be arranged for adequate numbers of volunteers and to set up a good process to move the stuff quickly to the chipper, that's when we'll handle it.
Okay.
But there is a plan, and it looks like we're going to be very lucky and very grateful to not have to pay.
True. Good job.
I have to thank Nan. She arranged all that. Okay. Anything else?
Just a quick question, and it's similar in line with what Donna was asking about the comments that we proposed for changing wording. Do you have any insight on what maybe other townships came back with? Were they similar to ours? Was there any wholesale objections? What was the tenor of the surrounding townships, would you say?
I don't think that each township is different.
Right.
And so I can only comment on the slim amount of information that's available to me. So I don't know what the response was, for example, from Elk. I have some sense that New Garden felt that what was being proposed for the township was perhaps too ambitious and not cited where they might like it cited. So I'm not sure how that all is being worked out, but it is still a plan in process. With respect to London Britain, I don't think there were any particular issues. Of course, London Britain is in a different spot with respect to DCNR and White Clay Creek Preserve. That is a more established relationship. But there are a lot of contingent things in this plan. Like, in order to be able to put say, a larger public display on the Mason-Dixon line in the Sexton's house, not only do you have to have the cooperation of DCNR, and you have to have an arrangement that's worked out as with respect to who actually has the responsibility for managing that once it's set up. But you also have to be able to accomplish all the renovation work that needs to be done on that for it to happen. So there are any number of points where there could be essentially a catastrophic failure and something doesn't happen. And one of the things, people are aware of that. One of the things that may occur as a result to kind of get to a place where we're doing some of the same stuff, not on the same scale, and in a way that's not dependent necessarily on having all these things happen in just the right way, is to go forward with some smaller scale signage in other locations so that we can at least get some of this information out there. There's a Mason-Dixon Greenway Park in London, Britain, and that has been suggested as you can call it a temporary or alternative site to doing something larger, say in the Sexton's house, where some of the same things that would have been discussed, but on a much smaller scale, could be discussed there so that visitors would have a place to learn about some of the details of the Mason-Dixon line and its survey, even if they didn't have, say, the very nice exhibits that had been proposed. And again, those are only proposals anyway. There's no guarantee that any of those would happen. So that's pretty much the full extent of my knowledge. I've been trying to get my fingers out of other pies I haven't. And so, you know, it's not as if there's necessarily a whole lot of communication. I was not able to attend a meeting in July down at London, Britain, so I haven't really talked with anyone down there more recently about it. And they're the folks I usually have the best sense of, although we do have someone on the Historical Commission from New Garden who attends that, so often have a sense of New Garden. There's not quite as close contact with Elk. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, thank you, Paul. Donna.
Yeah, so how do you want me to handle, so,
Well, so we don't have a park, rec, and open space report this month. So maybe, you know, we had a lot of storm damage over the past few weeks. Maybe you can give us a brief update on some of the rescue and recovery work we've had related to trails and all of that.
Sure,
Thank
and I promise to try and keep it short. I promise I'll try. As we all know, we've been hit pretty hard with some back-to-back storms here in the area. So just hit the trails first. Mount Olivet Trail had some pretty big trees down across it, and I'll address this one now. I obtained 3 quotes to have these trees dealt with. I ended up going with the lowest responsible one, who is the lowest one, at $3,650. So that work was done last week. Tried to work with DCNR about clearing the trees, and they weren't very interested in helping us. So the other trail that we were hit was on the Red Trail in Banffshire. So I would like to thank Paul Overton for all the hard work that he put in to that, cutting up that tree, and as well as Bob Magnus helping. That was great. Couple of other things. We were hit pretty hard on a couple of roads: South Guernsey Road, Flint Hill, Hess Mill, Creek Road, and Church Hill. So normally our practice when we get hit hard like that is to clear the roads, then do cleanup, and then do repair. So we have consulted the township engineer with a couple of our projects here. So we are moving forward with that. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. Dave, I don't know whether, Mr. Chairman, I don't know whether you wanted to talk about the Pet Memorial Bridge, if you wanted me to go on.
Well, I think one of the things you mentioned, the cost of the clearing of the trees, but this was largely covered under insurance, right? Some or all of it was.
That is an excellent point. All of it was covered by the township insurance company, so there is no out-of-pocket expense for the tree clearing on Mount Olivet Trail.
Great.
And Jeff, one more thing of clarity is those trees on Mount Olivet originated on DCNR property and fell onto the trail?
In my opinion, yes, they did. And then the debate started whether it was in the right of way of the trail or not. So I did work with Guy Donatelli, with his guidance. I went out and did some measurements. And ultimately, I made the decision at the end of the day, but based on my talks with him, it was just better to get it done.
Why go round and round?
Why?
And just pay the, just get it done.
Right. And the great thing with all of this, like I said, the insurance company paid for Mount Olivet Trail.
There's no,
So Jeff, one question, you talked about some roads that had some impact because of the weather. You also mentioned the word repair. Can you, like, what needs to be repaired? In general, I mean, high level.
No, very high level. There were several, culvert pipes that were washed out around, mainly in areas of tree cover. Because with the back-to-back storms we had, especially that 5-incher, that's what it measured at my house. Gentle rains, gentle streams turned into torrential flows. It was just amazing. So we have to restore those areas around the culvert pipes. We have one, and they call it a French mattress on Creek Road, which is for stormwater management. We need to repair. And Churchill Road, we are looking at, because of the rains we've been receiving, enlarging a culvert pipe on the northern end. And of course, we're not just doing this willy-nilly. We're going to be working with the engineer based on his recommendations and what he feels we need.
Bring that back to us, because these are not minor expenses, right? The culvert pipes. No, I mean, the repairs you have to do, but in terms of changing them, yeah.
Oh, gosh, yes. Especially the culvert pipe. Absolutely.
Thanks a lot.
So yeah, briefly, we had a really nice event on Saturday morning, unveiling ribbon cutting, my first ribbon cutting. A ribbon cutting for the Pet Memorial Bridge, or the Rainbow Bridge project. Very nice. We had Brett Whitty's parents there, some of his extended family. I don't know, it was maybe 24 people about showed up, all different folks from the community. Everyone said a little word and took a lot of pictures. I don't want to kind of go through it all because I think Jeff did a nice job posting a lot of pictures and descriptions up on the website. So if you're so inclined, please check that out, because it was a pretty neat event, and I was really happy to be able to share that time. So the last item, I'll take it because Dawn's not here, is Dawn's item, which is the Friends of the Healing Garden. I don't have an update from Dawn. Unfortunately, Dawn unexpectedly hurt her back this afternoon and was unable to make it to the meeting. So we'll have to postpone the Friends of the Healing Garden update until the August meeting. Can you believe it? It's gonna be August already.
I think there's some rock painting going on and some library stuff. So there,
So
please look at the website. It's all, she has it all posted.
that's true. Okay, thank you. All right, so with that, I will bring us to public comment. This public comment can include comments on anything attendees may want to share. Commenters must state their name and whether they are a township resident or a taxpayer of the township. I'm going to break protocol. Lieutenant Covert has been sitting here patiently waiting for public comment so he could talk to us. We'll have you go ahead and make your public comment, and then I'll open it up to whomever would like to make a comment. All right, thank you.
I don't know. Right button, right button. Okay. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak to everyone. My name is Dan Covert. I am the station commander over at Avondale. Just a little bit about me. I started at Avondale as a patrol trooper, moved up to Emeryville as crime for several years. Went from there, got promoted, went back to Avondale as a patrol corporal. Went across the hall and was our crime corporal there for a few years before getting promoted to sergeant. I was shipped out to Troop D Butler, and then was able to get back. Closest I could get was our PICS unit up at department headquarters, which covers the Pennsylvania Instant Check System. So I was there for a couple of years. So I would get back to Troop J, Lancaster, worked my way back to Emeryville, and then I was promoted, sent back to Lancaster, and then sent back to Avondale. So Avondale is home for me. I live in New London Township. So I don't plan to go anywhere unless the state decides to send me somewhere else. But, Avondale is a special place. I'm very blessed to be back there. Since I started there, it's home for me. So that's just a little bit about me. What I've been doing at the other townships, I did bring the stats for the first half of the year. I can go over. Luckily, looking at last year and even this year, you guys are towards the lower end, one of our slower townships as far as incidents that we handle. So I know that's nice. So we handled so far this year, and I only ran through the end of June. So it's the first 6 months, but we had 339 total calls for service. 125 of those required a report. So this disparity usually is there because with schools and things like that, we do domestic security checks. Doesn't necessarily require a report. We'll just do, there'll be comments in there. We'll stop at a school. Everything looks okay. They'll put minor comments in there. So it doesn't really require a report. So far this year, we've had 40 total criminal offenses in the township. 11 of those have been crimes against the person. 13 of those have been property crimes. We've made 12 total arrests and had 4 DUI arrests so far this year. 22 total crashes and 63 total citations have been written. So those are usually the stats I think everybody's most interested in.
So that's for our township.
That's for your township, yes.
The stat that jumps out, a couple of them, but one was the crashes.
Sure.
Are there some hot spots that you can point out and say, this is where they're happening?
Sure,
that's
and
where they're
I should have known, because that's a question I get asked every township meeting. What I can do is, we actually have with our software, I can bring up like a heat map. I can tell you certain intersections. I could certainly send them to you guys. I could tell you right now, without even looking at it, I can almost guarantee it's going to be along 896.
Sure.
That seems to be all from the border to, up to the Lancaster County line. That's usually what happens. And I know there's probably going to be a follow-up about the construction. I know your neighboring townships are concerned about that.
Yeah.
I think when the whole project's going on, it is going to be difficult. I know, like London Britain is worried about truck traffic.
It's gonna, we have this very similar concerns. So the rerouting ostensibly takes trucks around, but we know that's probably not going to happen. They're going to just follow Google and cut right through the
Sure.
township
And-
through. And one more comment. Sorry, is Gypsy Hill Road is one of the major diversion points,
Mhm.
and that is an incredibly dangerous road now with the normal amount of traffic that uses it as a cut through. When you're going to be diverting all that 896 northbound traffic, it's going to be a disaster. So,
Sure.
just be aware. I mean, I'm sure you're already aware of
Yeah,
it, but it's
and-
something
and-
that's worth commenting on.
Sure. And we dealt with similar in Londonderry Township when they put the circle in, or whatever that thing is called, on Route 41.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of the detours and where they're going to pop up, we're not going to know until they get down there and get stuck. Because we would try to get one street and then they'd show up on a different street. we're still having problems with trucks up there, going different ways and, so, as they get related to us, we'll address them. What we had to do up there is the construction company actually had to coordinate with our Department Bureau Patrol, and they just had troopers out there almost 24/7 on overtime, just at like two specific spots. Trucks don't go past here, and they just dealt with them that way. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point down here. But if it does, we can work with PennDOT and they know, what to do, who to contact and everything. But a lot of like the side roads, we'll probably just have to wait and see how it goes. So yes, I'm anticipating that it's going to be a problem, especially since it's the whole, such a big.
They have changed a couple things that we
Okay.
talked about
Yeah.
too, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we'll be having a representative from PennDOT here at our workshop meeting in August. So that might be a good opportunity to ask some of those questions. I had something else and it slipped my mind. So do we have any other comments or questions? Okay. Oh, that was what it was. So if we share the heat map of the traffic incidents,
Sure.
it would be nice to be able to post it on, is that something that we can share with the township as part of a traffic awareness? Like here's where the accidents are happening?
Yeah,
or
let me
no?
check on that.
Check on it,
So
because-
they might actually have it. If you're familiar, they've changed how they put, you might know they changed how we put like our public information releases are now on the state police website.
Yeah.
There's actually the same dashboard. You can get all these stats. They kind of just are broken up a little different.
Mhm.
And they're usually on just like a 2-month delay. They have it broken up into like patrol and crime. And I think they have that crash information on there. I just don't know on the public site if they have the heat map. So I can certainly check on that.
Yeah,
If they're
check
allowed
if
to
it's
share.
postable or not, because
Um,
it'd be nice to just kind of push something out to say,
Sure.
hey, these, I mean, truth be told, the residents here know where the problem areas are. It's usually the people flying through that are.
And that's
Yeah.
one thing I was going to share too. A lot of the townships I go to, between residents, sometimes township supervisors, sometimes our state representatives. I don't know if they 100% know exactly what we do. We are a full service police department. So if you have a traffic complaint or resident has a complaint, I encourage them to contact us or contact you guys, and you guys contact us. Because I'll be honest, speeding is a problem everywhere. Like it's all the roads. It's just everywhere.
Mhm.
But if there's specific spots, we don't know about it, that maybe it's more of an issue at a certain spot than, at others. So, what we can do is we'll actually set up a recurring, like traffic enforcement, we'll sit there as much as we can. Usually we'll split it up. We'll do it for like 2 weeks at a time. Be there, then we'll move on. Sometimes we'll change it up. We'll do it a little more, a little less. We've done it, if you're familiar with Ovations in Penn Township,
Mhm.
a stop sign issue there. We probably aren't going to see someone violate that stop sign in an hour, but us just sitting there, really with residents of that neighborhood, like they really enjoyed that. And we're out there, they see it. We didn't have any violations, but even something like that,
Mhm.
even if it's somewhere maybe we can't really take enforcement, like a speed enforcement on a small road, we can still come out there and sit there and be seen.
Well, that was incredibly effective, at least in my opinion, in front of the charter school here in Kemblesville, where it was, I mean, a racetrack, and I don't know how long you guys were out there for, maybe a year. You guys would show up, and now I think it's been really socialized that folks slow down during school hours. It's really changed how people drive through that intersection.
Sure.
So it's definitely effective. So. Any other questions? All right. Hey, thank you very much. And I appreciate you waiting until our second public comment. So thanks.
I just wanted to say to Lieutenant Covert, thank you for coming tonight. And I'm very appreciative of you and the Avondale State Police Barracks. So thank you for everything you do.
No problem. I'm sure you will see me again. So I'm trying to get to everywhere. So I'll try to give you a little more notice next time than just the day before. But I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
All right. So now I will again ask for public comment. This public comment will include comments on anything attendees may want to share. Commenters must state their name and whether they are a township resident or a taxpayer of the township. Any public comment? right, not hearing any. I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at, are we serious? 7:45 PM. Can I have a second? Jim. Jim's job is to second closing the meeting. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Good night, everyone.